You know you don't match the aesthetic, right? That's what my daughter said. Her voice wasn't angry. She wasn't yelling. She said it the same way someone might point out a chipped plate at a wedding reception, mildly embarrassed by its presence, but mostly just confused about how it got there. I didn't answer right away. My eyes were fixed on the reflection in the gold bauble hanging from their 12-foot tree. I looked bulbous and strange in the curve, like a caricature of myself. There was cranberry sauce on my sleeve. They're trying to do something more curated this year, she added, adjusting the angle of a porcelain deer on the mantel. Modern Scandinavian. You know. I didn't know. But I nodded anyway. The reflection in the ornament bobbed with me. And Miles, she hesitated, pretending to fluff a pillow that didn't need fluffing. He doesn't feel comfortable with you here. Because I'm loud. I said. My voice didn't rise. It didn't even tremble. I spoke like someone observing their own autopsy. Or because I exist? Mom, she said, and this time there was a trace of sharpness, like she was the one being wounded. Don't make this harder than it has to be. There were 27 white candles lit around the living room. I counted them while the air folded in around us. Her home smelled like white pine and something fake, the kind of sterile vanilla that came in overpriced jars from boutiques with names like Lilac and Bone. I stood. The scarf she gave me last Christmas slid off my lap and onto the couch. She didn't pick it up. So, I'm not welcome. It's just one Christmas, she said, still not looking at me. We'll do something later. A lunch. Or something. I looked at her face for a long time. Not to plead. Just to memorize. She had her father's cheekbones, but none of his warmth. Her eyes flicked up once, a glance like checking if I was still there, and then darted back to the pine garland. I left without hugging her. I didn't say goodbye, but I did look back once as I opened the door. The tree lights caught her silver wine glass, and for a second it looked like it was glowing in her hand, like she was holding a candle that wouldn't burn her. Before I go further, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and if you're hooked already, a like and subscribe will keep these stories coming. Outside, the light had gone flat. Not quite dark, not quite day. That watercolor gray hour where the world forgets what season it's in. I stepped off her porch, heels echoing too loud against the slate tile Miles insisted on when he upgraded the front steps. The man wouldn't know warmth if it burned a hole in his Patagonia vest. My car sat at the curb like it was waiting to be arrested. Everything on this street was beige and well-lit and lifeless. No color, no chaos, no kids running wild with candy canes. Just curated hedges and curated trees and curated families, lit from inside by the soft orange glow of quiet exclusion. I started the car. The check engine light was on again. Of course you are, I muttered. The driveway sloped slightly. I put it in reverse and backed out carefully. Not because I feared hitting anything, but because I didn't want to disturb the lawn decorations that had been carefully positioned to impress neighbors who didn't even wave. It was only once I turned the corner that I realized I hadn't spoken to anyone besides my daughter in 2 days. I was afraid to call anyone. Afraid they'd ask what I was doing for Christmas. Or worse, offer me a pity plate. The heater clicked on weakly. I didn't even bother with the radio. Just drove in silence, hands gripping the wheel like it was the last warm thing I owned. Halfway home, a pair of headlights flashed behind me. Too close. Too fast. I checked my rear view, black SUV, tinted windows. I changed lanes, let them pass. They didn't. Instead, they stayed there. Behind me. Close enough that I couldn't see their front bumper. A hair's breadth from my back window. My stomach curled. I took the next left. They followed. Then another. Same. There's something primal about realizing you're being followed. A chill that starts behind your knees and climbs your spine. I turned again. They turned. Again. Again. I didn't want to believe it. Not yet. But fear doesn't need proof. It just needs repetition. I pulled into the gas station 2 blocks from my house. Left the car running. Pretended to check my tire pressure. The SUV idled across the street. Then it rolled forward, too slow, like a lion deciding whether to pounce. I got back in the car. Locked the doors. My fingers were cold on the steering wheel. When I turned onto my street, I checked the rear view again. Gone. Was it gone? I wasn't sure. Inside, my house smelled like old wood and dust. Like heat that hadn't run in days. The porch light still flickered. I still hadn't fixed it. The bulb wasn't the problem. It was the wiring, an old fuse box, stubborn and temperamental, like most things in this house. Like me. I shut the door behind me, twisted the deadbolt. The silence stretched long and empty. And then I saw it, sitting on the kitchen counter like it had always been there. A single envelope. No return address. Just my name written in thick black marker. Margot. Not Mom. Not Mrs. Lane. Just Margot. I didn't open it right away. I didn't even touch it. I just stared. At the paper. At the sharp handwriting. At the way my name looked like a label slapped on a box no one wanted to carry. It wasn't fear of what was inside. It was the fear that whoever left it knew how to get in. Next, the letter. The account. The math. And a woman remembering exactly how much she's paid for people who thought her presence clashed with their aesthetic. But before that, outside, the porch light sparked once, then went dead. A single loud crack. And then total black. And somewhere outside, a car engine started. Low. Slow. Still running. Still there. I didn't move for a full minute. Just stood there, coat still zipped, bag slung over my shoulder, staring at the envelope like it might start bleeding. Outside, nothing. Not even wind. Just that thick silence, like the world was waiting for me to do something. I turned slowly, crossed the kitchen, and sat down. The chair groaned under me. I dropped my keys in the ceramic dish by the window, the one I'd made at a pottery class back, when I still tried new things. One corner had chipped, but I never fixed it. Some things are allowed to stay broken. The envelope was unsealed. A single strip of the flap was tucked in, neat, almost polite. Like whoever left it didn't want to inconvenience me. Inside, a folded stack of papers. I pulled them out carefully, smoothing the pages flat with both hands. Then I saw it. Automatic transfer confirmation. Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. $2,975/monthly. Recipient. Evelyn Grayson and Miles Thatcher. Authorized by Margot E. Lane. Start date, January 15, 2019. I stared at the number. $2,975. Every month. I flipped to the next page. Then the next. Then the next. Each one was identical. Same amount. Same date. Same little confirmation ID at the bottom. Tiny, unreadable numbers that added up to something massive. 5 years. 60 payments. $178,500. No footnotes. No thank you. No line item labeled soul. Just numbers. I found myself whispering them aloud. 2,975 times 60. I reached for the calculator. Not the app. The real one. The one Maria bought me years ago, before she got sick. Still smelled faintly of dust and whiteout. $178,500. Plus the down payment. $40,000. Plus the roof repairs. $11,200. Plus the baby shower they made me host because Evelyn was too stressed to plan anything herself. $6,000. Not including catering. I stopped calculating. I just sat back and stared at my hands. They didn't look like much. No rings. Short nails. Wrinkled skin. But somehow they'd held up their life for 5 years. And nobody noticed the weight they were carrying. And now, I didn't even match the aesthetic. I didn't cry. That surprised me. I thought I might. But no. It was something colder than sadness. Something clean. I stood. Walked to the far cupboard. Took down the whiskey I'd been saving for next spring, when I thought maybe I'd take a trip to France. I poured it into a chipped mug. I walked to the table. Sat again. And made one call. Spoken Credit Union. A voice answered cheerfully. How can I help you today? This is Margot Lane, I said, voice like marble. I need to cancel an automatic transfer. To which institution, ma'am? Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. Account ending in 9832. Certainly. May I ask why you're canceling? They don't need my money, I said. There was a pause. Not a big one. Just enough. Understood. I'll take care of that for you right now. The typing on her end was fast, efficient. Like removing a tumor. Cancelled as of today, she said. Would you like written confirmation sent to your email? Yes. And anything else I can help you with tonight, Ms. Lane? I looked at the window. My reflection stared back, dark-lined, slightly blurred by condensation. But steady. No, I said. I think I've helped enough people for one lifetime. I hung up. The heater clicked on. Somewhere in the wall, a pipe thumped like a lazy heartbeat. I gathered the papers from the envelope. Not to file. Not to keep. I walked them to the fireplace. I hadn't lit it in 2 years, too expensive, too much cleanup. But tonight it felt appropriate. I struck a match. The scent of sulfur bloomed sharp and nostalgic. Then the pages went in. Flame caught the edge. Grew. Devoured. All 60 months, all 60 payments, all the silence I swallowed. Eaten alive by fire. The room flickered gold. I let it. I lifted my mug and whispered it once, to nobody in particular. Happy Christmas, Evelyn. I went to bed early. No music. No book. Just me under the quilt, staring at the ceiling. And still, something itched. Not guilt. Not regret. A feeling. Like the story wasn't done yet. At 2:13 a.m., I woke up cold. The heater was off. My bedroom window was open an inch. I hadn't opened it. I sat up slowly, heart thudding like a knock in my chest. I slid off the bed, bare feet against the cold floor. Moved to the window. Outside, black street. White snow beginning to fall. And tire tracks. Not mine. New. Fresh. Leading up to my house. And then turning around. But not before stopping. Right at the curb. Right at the walkway. I stood at the glass for a long time, breath fogging the pain. Then I saw it, half buried in snow, at the base of the mailbox. A small object. Square. Red. Not a letter. A gift box. No tag. No ribbon. Just sitting there. Waiting. I didn't put shoes on. Just pulled on my coat, the green one with the loose button and a threadbare collar, and walked barefoot to the front door. The hallway floor was like ice. It felt like being dared. Each step toward the door made the silence heavier. Like the house itself was holding its breath. I flicked the porch light switch, even though I knew it was dead. Still old habits. The click echoed in the stillness like a broken metronome. Then I opened the door. A gust of wind knifed through the frame, sharp with pine and exhaust. My feet hit the cold concrete. I winced. Then I stepped down onto the walkway, letting the chill climb into my bones. I moved slowly. Tire tracks cut through the thin layer of snow like surgical scars. The only sound was the wind moving the bare branches of my plum tree, brittle and ghost-like against the sky. There it was. The box. Red. 3 inches wide. Matte cardboard, the kind used for handmade jewelry or keepsakes. No ribbon. No card. No pattern. It looked harmless. That's what made it worse. I crouched slowly. The air stung my ankles. My breath fogged in the moonlight. I reached out, hesitated, just once, then picked it up. It was light, but not empty. I brought it inside. Back in the kitchen, I set it on the table where the envelope had been. Then I closed the deadbolt, double-checked the back door, turned on every light in the house, even the one in the laundry room that flickered like a haunted motel. Then I returned to the box. I sat, watched it, lifted the lid. Inside, a photograph. One of mine. Not one I remembered taking. But I was in it. Me, seated at Evelyn's kitchen counter, pouring orange juice into a glass. Hair tied back, sweater rolled at the cuffs. A soft morning light behind me, her old wallpaper just barely in frame. She must have taken it. Or maybe Miles. But that wasn't what froze me. It was what was scrawled across the photo. Across my face in thick black ink. Stay out of our house. The handwriting was blocky. Masculine. Sloppy. I didn't recognize it. Underneath the photo, one more item. A nail. Steel. 2 inches long. Bent slightly at the tip. I stared at it. Just a nail. But placed. Deliberately. A message? A threat? A warning? I didn't know. And somehow, not knowing was worse than anything it could have meant. I picked up the photo. My hands were shaking now. Not fear. Not entirely. Something older. Something deeper. Violation. Not just of space, but of memory. That photo, someone had gone into Evelyn's house. Dug it up. Found it. Defaced it. Delivered it here. That meant one thing. Miles. I didn't call the police. What could I say? My daughter's husband might have left a box on my porch with a nail in it. No crime. No proof. And worse, it would make me look unstable. The story would twist. I'd be the irrational old woman meddling, suspicious, dramatic. I'd already been cast out. Now I was being framed. I moved the box into the drawer under the sink. Shut it quietly like it might scream. Then I went to the fireplace. The photo did not burn easily. The ink smudged first. Melted, almost. The face distorted before the paper blackened. I watched my own expression twist, melt, vanish. I left the nail where it was. Let it sit in the drawer. Like a match. Waiting. Morning came late. Gray. Wet. Quiet. I made oatmeal I didn't want. Stirred it once. Let it go cold. The phone rang at 9:17. Evelyn. I stared at the screen. Then answered. Hi, Mom, she said brightly, too brightly. Quick thing, you didn't, leave something at the house, did you? I said nothing. Like, maybe something from last night? A scarf or a little red box or... I smiled. It felt ugly. No, Evelyn, I said calmly. I didn't leave anything behind. There was a pause. Just long enough for her to shift tone. Well, she said, someone did. There was this little box on the front porch this morning. Miles found it. It was kind of creepy. I sipped my tea. I said. What was in it? Just a weird old photo, she said, exhaling. Of you, actually. From a few years ago. And a nail? Like a construction nail? Strange. Yeah, totally. Another pause. Anyway, she said, fake casual. Miles he's a little rattled. He's wondering if maybe you've been feeling okay? Like, just checking in. There it was. The setup. The manipulation. I let the silence stretch until I could hear her breathing shift on the line. I'm doing just fine, I said. She didn't know what to do with that. And I didn't offer more. Well, she said finally, just wanted to check. And hey, I know we said this Christmas might be complicated, but maybe we could do lunch next week? Just us. I'd love to just reconnect. I stared out the window. Snow was starting again. Soft, fine flakes like sifted flour. A little too late for sugarcoating. I'll think about it, I said. Then hung up. I spent the afternoon sorting papers. Not bills, history. Photos. Receipts. Notes. Little pieces of a life that had been spent quietly holding other people together. I boxed some. Burned others. At 4:32 p.m., I found the mortgage deed. Not a copy. The original. Signed by me. Co-signer. Co-owner. Liable. And then I noticed something else. In the corner, faint but visible. A second mortgage. Filed without my signature. Filed under my name. Dated June 2022. Miles's name, typed not signed. A forged approval. A scan of my signature, poorly pasted. The angle was wrong. A faint line showed where the image had been dragged onto the form. I stared. Hands cold. Lips parted. And for a moment the entire room shrank, like the walls pulled closer, like the ceiling dropped. They'd taken out another loan, using my name. Behind my back. And no one even told me. Not Evelyn. Not the bank. No wonder they didn't want me around. Outside, a car pulled into my driveway. Not Miles's. Not Evelyn's. Black. Tinted windows. Same SUV. The one from last night. It parked. Didn't move. Didn't turn off. Just sat there. Running. Watching. I reached for the drawer. Wrapped my hand around the nail. Cold. Heavy. Ready. The nail was colder than I expected. Not metallic, deeper. Like it remembered the cold of wherever it had been before it ended up in my drawer. I didn't clench it. I didn't hold it like a knife. Just kept it in my palm. Let it rest against the soft base of my thumb. Enough to remind myself, I'm not helpless. The SUV idled outside, wrapped in the slow hiss of falling snow. Exhaust curled around the tires, smoke without fire. Its headlights were off. Windows dark. No movement. But it was watching me. I knew it. I stood at the front door and didn't open it. Not yet. Just watched through the small diamond-shaped window, the one Maria always said made our house look like a gingerbread cottage. I used to like that window. Now it felt like a peephole in a cell. 3 minutes passed. Then 4. No one moved. No one got out. I turned away from the window. Walked calmly into the kitchen. Picked up my phone. I didn't call the police. I took a picture. Of the car. The plates. The timestamp. Then another photo. Of the mortgage papers. The fake signature. The second loan. I emailed all of them to myself. Then to Rosa. Subject line. If anything happens to me. I put on my boots. Zipped my coat. No scarf. Then I opened the front door. The cold hit me square in the mouth. Bitter and metallic, like biting a battery. I walked down the steps one at a time, careful not to slip. Still no movement. I reached the curb. The engine cut off. My heartbeat didn't spike. It slowed. That surprised me. Fear had burned out. Now there was only fuel. The driver's door opened. One foot hit the snow. Boot. Mail. Then the rest of him emerged. Miles. Wearing his tailored black coat. Designer. Not made for weather, made for image. Snow dusted his shoulders, but he didn't brush it off. He shut the door. No rush. Then he smiled. Not warmth. Not charm. Something else. Something thinner. Evening, Margot, he said. His voice was smooth like a man who'd practiced it in a mirror. Beautiful night. I said nothing. He stepped closer. Didn't ask. Didn't wait. Did you get our little gift? He asked. Evelyn was worried it might have upset you. I held up the nail. Just a little. Between 2 fingers. Do you want it back? He blinked. A flash of something in his eyes. Then he chuckled. You always did have a flair for dramatics. Says the man sending hate mail in gift wrap. His smile thinned. I came here to talk. You could have done that 5 years ago. I came, he repeated, ignoring me, to offer a chance to make this less messy. I tilted my head. Messy how? We know what you're planning, he said, and there was no smile now. You're angry. You've got documents. Photos. Emails. Evelyn told me you're spiraling. Spiraling, I echoed. That what she calls it when a woman figures out she's being robbed? He stepped closer. Just 1 step. I didn't back up. You don't want this to become a legal matter, he said, eyes narrowing. It'll get complicated. Expensive. Ugly. For who? He didn't answer. But I could see it in the twitch at the corner of his mouth. Not for him. For Evelyn. For his image. For the curated suburban perfection he clung to like a brand identity. I leaned in, close enough to smell his cologne. Something expensive and bland, like wet cardboard wrapped in citrus. You think I care what this does to her reputation? I said. After everything I gave, and everything she let you take? His mouth opened slightly. A protest coming. A deflection. I cut him off. You forged my name, Miles. He didn't flinch. Didn't deny it. That said more than any lie could have. You're going to jail, I said quietly. Maybe not today. But soon. He laughed then. Low and mean. Oh, Margot, he said. You really think they'll take your word over mine? He gestured around, the street, the houses. You're a retired secretary living alone in a dying house. I'm a financial advisor with a spotless record and a very expensive lawyer. I've got records. Forged. I've got photos. Out of context. I took a step forward now. You came to my house, I said. He smirked. Prove it. And then he leaned in too close and whispered it. You're already losing, Margot. That's when the voice came. From behind us. Low. Tired. Unmistakable. Not if she's got witnesses. We both turned. There, at the end of the walkway. Rosa. Holding her phone up. Camera pointed at us. Recording. Her breath puffed in the cold. Her scarf was crooked. Her boots unlaced. She must have driven like hell when she saw my email. And still she looked like a statue. Unmoving. Unafraid. Miles paled. I think, Rosa said calmly, you should leave before this turns into an even bigger mess. He looked between us. Me. Then Rosa. Then back at me. The calculation was fast. I saw it flicker across his face, strategy, panic, pivot. But he said nothing. He just turned, got into the SUV, and drove off without a word. The tires spun slightly before gripping. Then silence again. Except for Rosa's footsteps. She walked up slowly, phone still in her hand. When she reached me, she exhaled. That man, she muttered, is going to choke on his own tie one day. I laughed. It came out of nowhere. Quick and sharp. And it didn't stop. I laughed until my knees nearly buckled. Rosa caught me with one arm. Okay, she said gently. You're okay. You're okay. I wiped my eyes. I think, I said, it's time I hosted a dinner of my own. Rosa stayed the night. Not because she was worried, though she was, but because she knew I wouldn't ask. She brought pastries in the morning. Stale, half frozen from her garage freezer. We defrosted them in the oven and ate them at the table in our coats because the heat still wasn't running right. I don't think he'll come back, she said finally. No, I said. He'll hide behind Evelyn now. We both knew it was true. Men like Miles never got their hands dirty twice. The invitation came in a group text. Evelyn must have forgotten to delete me from the list. Friendsmas at our place. December 24th. Casual wine plus charcuterie. Ugly sweaters, optional Christmas tree, clinking glasses. No, hi Mom. No apology. Just a broadcast. I didn't reply. But I started packing a small bag. Not clothes. Not presents. Receipts. Bank documents. Photos. Printouts of the second mortgage. And one more thing. The video. Rosa had uploaded it to a private YouTube link. No edits. Just Miles on tape, threatening, condescending, smirking. December 24th arrived sharp and silver. The kind of winter day that looks peaceful until you realize the sun is lying. I put on the green coat. The one Evelyn said clashed with the decor. I tucked the bag under my arm and walked to Rosa's car. You sure about this? She asked, engine idling. I'm sure, I said. But don't turn the heat up. I want to feel the cold. Their house glowed like a wedding cake. Cars lined the street. The porch had been wrapped in fairy lights. You could smell clove and spiced wine halfway down the block. Inside, laughter. Glasses clinking. The sound of curated joy. We didn't knock. We walked in through the side door, the one leading into the kitchen. Rosa carried her phone. I carried the bag. Inside, Evelyn in a velvet dress, laughing with her book club friends. Miles at the counter, uncorking a bottle. A Spotify jazz playlist playing just a little too loud. Someone noticed us. Oh, said a woman in reindeer antlers, blinking. Didn't know your mom was coming, Evie. Evelyn turned. Her smile froze. Miles went pale. But neither of them spoke first. I did. Evening, everyone, I said. I know I wasn't on the guest list. But I brought something better than wine. The room quieted. The jazz kept playing, embarrassingly upbeat. I set the bag on the counter. Unzipped it. Laid out the papers. What is this? Someone murmured. This, I said, is the record of every mortgage payment I made for this house. For 5 years. Heads turned. I held up a second set of papers. And this is the forged mortgage taken out in my name without my consent. Signed illegally by Miles Thatcher. Evelyn finally found her voice. Mom, stop this. Please. Not here. You told me I didn't match the aesthetic, I said louder now. So I decided to be the contrast. Miles tried to laugh. She's having an episode, he said to the room. I don't know what this is, but... Rosa stepped forward. Actually, she said, I think this is the part where we roll the tape. She tapped her phone. Turned it around. Pressed play. Miles's voice filled the kitchen. You really think they'll take your word over mine? You're a retired secretary living alone in a dying house. Gasps. Silence. The jazz finally stopped. The room was watching him now. Not me. Not Evelyn. Him. One of the women whispered something to her husband. He started filming. Another guest snapped a photo of the documents. Miles's face went gray. Evie, he said, say something. But Evelyn said nothing. She just looked down. For once, she didn't defend him. Didn't rescue him. Didn't perform. Just let the silence stand. We didn't stay long. 10 minutes. Enough for every guest to see. Enough for word to spread. As we left, Evelyn called after me, just once. Mom, wait. I paused. She stepped forward. Her eyes were red. I didn't know about the second loan, she said. He told me it was pre-approved. That it was standard. I swear. I waited. She swallowed. I'm sorry. I believe you, I said quietly. But that doesn't mean I'm coming back. I reached into the bag. Pulled out one last thing. A copy of the mortgage deed. I held it out. You'll need this, I said. She took it with shaking hands. Then we left. 3 weeks later, I got a letter. Not from Evelyn. From a lawyer. Miles had been reported for fraud. Bank records matched my evidence. He was under investigation. He had also been fired. His firm cited ethical concerns. No further comment. Evelyn filed for separation on February 3rd. She moved in with a friend from college. I didn't call her, but I left a light on, just in case. On March 10th, I bought myself a new chair. Not fancy, just comfortable. Soft gray, wide arms, deep enough to curl into. I placed it by the front window. From there, I could see the plum tree. Still bare, but not dead. Rosa helped me hang new curtains. We played salsa records while we worked. That night, I made pozole. Not curated. Not Scandinavian. Just warm. Just mine. I lit one candle. No vanilla. No boutique labels. Then I sat in my new chair. Held my bowl. Watched the snow begin to fall again. And for the first time in years, I didn't wonder if I was welcome. I knew I was home.